My response would have been to laugh really, really hard because the
Yes.
Siron 10 years ago would not have done this. But this is life. Life teaches you to take on challenges, because when you take on new challenges, you surprise yourself and you discover abilities you never knew you had.
We're a weapon detection company. That is, we're a pure artificial intelligence company. We detect guns, this boy right here, and this machine guy right here. See, it's pretty cool. So we detect those bad boys using CCTV, already installed CCTV cameras.
Today, everywhere, bringing the simple training to the person by technology is something that's going to fitness, it's going to even to medtech, it's going to many aspects. And I think that meditation needs to be taught. There's some techniques, it's easy to learn them. And when you have a guided meditation, it makes you get to the result fast, immediate, and with a guided meditation.
What do you think is more important, pursuing your passion while you launch a new startup, or looking at what gaps there are and trying to solve a specific problem out there?
Look, this is my first startup, so I really can't say which is going to be better. I just know that Mr. Draper has gone through, we've been around for 6 years in the market. We've gone through some extremely difficult circumstances, whether that's fundraising, that's whether team building, whether that's understanding who the market is and how to play to them. COVID, we've gone through a lot, and I'm still here, and I'm still here for a reason. It's definitely not the pay, or it's a very challenging life. So I think passion definitely has a huge role to play in it. I didn't do it the alternative route where I did, I tried to find a gap in the market and try to fill it with a business or a service. I do enjoy retail. I do enjoy apparel retail, especially. Even in my free time, I'm reading and I'm trying to understand where it's heading. So I think passion plays a huge role, but I can't really comment about the other side because that's not something that I've done in the past.
The purposes of myself and the company is actually to bring a lot of the science and technology at the cutting edge back to medicine and healthcare. So we want to transform how primary care is done, both in the clinic, but also at home. So we want also to empower people to take in their own hands their own health decisions together with the clinicians. And we want also to empower clinicians to do more with less, because that is another challenge that humankind is facing. We are not training enough doctors and nurses, and this is getting worse and worse over time, not better. So the deficit in the next 10 years is going to be like 15 million medical staff around the world. And this is not also uniform. In developing countries, it's even worse because they migrate to developed countries. And actually, the WHO has estimated about 1 billion people go their whole lives without seeing any medical staff or doctor. And that is because they are far away from cities or because of financial reasons, and they are far away from hospitals and clinics. So we want to contribute with all these problems. So what we bring is automation and tools, both software and hardware, to empower both users, patients, also clinicians, and all stakeholders to perform remote health monitoring. That is basically what we do. And obviously we use AI at all steps, but usually we don't put AI on the front, because what we believe is that the best AI is basically the one you don't even notice, because it is translated in some sort of a benefit for the stakeholders. So things like, for example, portability or accuracy. So there's no need to actually put the AI on the front, but it's exciting also how we apply AI.
KYC, know your customer. KYCC, know your customer's customer. KYB, know your business. KYW, know your wallet. All of these monikers are aspects of knowing the environment you're transacting in and who you're transacting with. So part of Securrency's secret sauce around what we do as a technology provider is not only do we build infrastructure, but we're also building compliance tools, effectively automating compliance, something that is a very significant expense in today's financial services markets. KPMG recently did a study that revealed $270 billion is spent annually on compliance. That's a massive amount of money that is being spent on something that some would say is a non-value add activity. So being able to automate compliance is a big part of what we're about, and being able to provide distribution control on assets globally for cross-border transactions, ensuring that both parties that are participating in the transaction of whatever form that asset is are known and qualified to do so. And the knowing where your value is coming from, who you're transacting with, is one of these things that blockchain actually brings to the table. So if I were conducting a transaction with you, Shata, say for instance, I was selling you a cup of coffee, and you wanted to pay me cash. You're going to give me a few dirham to pay for that cup of coffee. I don't know where you got your money from. You took it from your purse or from your wallet and you handed it to me. I don't know where it came from, but I know who you are and I trust that it came from a good source. And you may be transacting with people that you trust and on down the line, but further and further back in the transactions, there's less visibility of knowing who others are transacting with. When you move into a digital asset space in a blockchain or a distributed ledger environment, you have the ability to see every transaction and every transaction's history. They call that wallet hopping. So you can see if money is actually being used in illicit activity, if it's being used in money laundering, if it's being used for some kind of illicit activity. And when you have that ability through chain analysis and other vendors that are able to evaluate the risk scores around the wallet transactions that a party has been party to, you have an opportunity to set thresholds of who you may or may not want to transact with based on the risk that they're exposing themselves to. And this is relevant on currencies like fiat or Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. And it's also obviously relevant with much larger transactions around public and private equity. So know your wallet is effectively an amalgamation of different services of know your customer, know your business, and know the history of the transactions that the wallet's been party to.
But till now, what are the lessons you learned that people can benefit from, especially entrepreneurs with new startups?
See, the first thing is you come as an entrepreneur with this huge energy. Like you have this energy, you believe in your idea, and sometimes you're biased to your thinking because you believe in your idea. So you don't listen to people. Sometimes people will say, okay, this is not going to work. You have to do this and you have to do that. And we should listen to people who know about your market. This is one thing. And I did that in the beginning. I didn't listen to people. I was like, no, it has to go this way because I believe that it has to go this way. So you have to follow evidence-based research when it comes to entrepreneurship. This is one thing. The other thing is don't ever think about taking over the world. I know when we start, we have this energy to do everything at the same time. Be focused and focus on the areas that you think that you can succeed, and you can then scale it up to whatever. You will come with this ultimate vision that, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. Do less, go to market and see what people will react to your product and then scale it up. Don't wait, don't be perfectionist. Sometimes you will delay your launch or whatever, thinking that I'm going to have like something better than what I'm offering. Listen to your customers. This is the second advice. The third one, stop being greedy. And I'm literally greedy, because when you start your business, you think about it like something you own and you want to keep it. The more you have people who can scale up this business with you, the better it is, because Nobody, even Steve Jobs, did not do this by himself. So engage with others and try to find people who can help you to scale up your product.
What are things that you would have done more of, if you go back and do it again, to focus more on? Or what are things that you would probably maybe do differently or do less?
Wow, that's a real tough question. I think for us, our biggest challenge is navigating the regulation.
Yeah.
In that sense, we have been a front runner. It's also convincing the banks to work with you. So we had to do a lot of mystery work to convince them. If I look back, then I would have spent more time on that probably. And the other thing what I would have done is take the money when it's on the table, right? So you think, okay, I raised some money, and that gives me a runway of, let's say, 15 to 18 months, because I probably will have so much traction at that moment, so that is something that I would do differently, because things always take longer, particularly in fintech.
Yeah.
There are things that you cannot predict. And the other thing that I would do differently is I'm the sole founder. I would for sure go for a co-founder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just someone maybe to carry the weight and split the responsibilities and support as you grow.
Now tell me, who are 3 people that inspire you? You can tell me 2 if you don't have 3.
I'm sure I have multiple, but interesting. So I'm going to start by saying my co-founder, Nisreen. So we have been working together closely since maybe 1999 or 2000. And she's a person who challenges me for me to realize my boundaries are not the boundaries I assumed to be, that I can do things much bigger than what I thought I can do. So yeah, she inspires me like that. Apart from that, actually my team inspires me a lot, especially the past year and a half. As you know, most of our team are Lebanese. Most of them are based in Lebanon, and those who are not based in Lebanon, we have been going through a very difficult situation, as you all know, the past year and a half. But despite of it all, they wake up every day, they get online on time, they give their best, they are positive, and they still dedicated and passionate, despite of it all. So this is very inspiring for me. I'm really humbled by that. And the third is also not a person, but it's the teachers during COVID who are still, not everyone, to be honest, who are still giving their best, despite all the negative, despite all the difficulties, despite completely new way of teaching and learning that was thrown at them. They still get online, they still smile to their, at their students, and they still do their job. So they inspired me also.
What we found in the UAE, I believe we didn't found in anywhere, because we had some proposals, we had some acceleration programs that we were in, but what we had, especially in Hub71, was really, really special. Not only by the mentoree and everybody that helped us from the hub, but the perspective of the people that works in Hub71. Every time we need some help, every time we need some support of anything, people are quick to help us and are so warm to help us and when we have a situation. So and all the support of that we are having to work in UAE, it's amazing. It's amazing. We didn't find this in anywhere. We are now. I was yesterday in a conversation with the president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, and the Minister of Science and Technology of Brazil, and we wanted to promote something with this, because people here, we have a great companies here that could bring so much things to this part of the world, and maybe we can figure out a way to have some partnership, some of the program and the government and something like this. We have a very good relationship between Brazil and the UAE today. Maybe it's a thing to think in the next times, and I think it would be great to everybody.
How does Abu Dhabi and what you're doing now compare to your previous life in Hollywood, working on an Oscar award-winning movie?
I put teams together. I put people together always in my whole life. And then I get teams together, you know, making action movies. My family is very much involved in Hollywood. My cousin's husband, he produced all the John Wick movies. So I don't know if you saw John Wick, but you have guns all over the movie. So I'm like, hey, that guns. He's like, oh, that's cool, man. That must be nice. I'm like, yeah, it's nice. Gives us a good revenue. But in Hollywood, you're behind like a $500,000 camera, right? And you have all the hair and makeup people and the catering and everything. And you use the best software to retouch the frame so that everything looks unbelievable. In CCTV, you have one camera that's being put up with a terrible angle. You have no makeup, it's black and white, and you have no director, it's just, that's it. So then I thought, hey, let's move behind the $500,000 camera, behind like a $200-300 camera, but let's bring this Hollywood know-how. I'm sure you've been to I'm sure you know someone that has a security camera. I guarantee you, I bet you $100, okay? You look at his framing and you're gonna say, why are you showing me your ceiling all the time? Why are you not like nicely do a nice framing of your door, your entrance? Because you want to see who's coming in your place. And so that was the first thing that allowed us as a company to be different than the competitors. Like, hey, this guy comes from Hollywood, you know? And so that's how I relate. And the transition between making movies to making AI was after or during the Oscar nomination. I was in the train between Geneva and Zurich, and my phone rang, and it was this huge number from California. I'm like, I got to pick that up, you know? And it was Apple. It was Steve Bass, one of the inventors of Final Cut Pro and the inventor of the ProRes format. He's like, is this Joe? I'm like, yes. Who's that? He's like, Steve from Apple. And I thought, oh shit, Steve Jobs calling me. You know? He's like, no, it's Steve Bass. I'm like, okay. And then he was like, how bloody hell, you made a movie with about 100 different formats. Did you use any Apple gear? I'm like, do I get a special discount or something? He's like, you know what? I'm like, yes, I did Apple gear, Apple softwares. And he's like, how about, he's like, would you like to teach for Apple? I'm like, I'd love to. And so I was flown into Apple in Paris at their HQ. And I was taught by Olivier Vigneron, who's like a top post-production expert in Europe. And he taught me with one of my best friends, Patrice Frémont, who's also an Oscar nominated, an Oscar award, who's also an Emmy Award winner, editor. And we were at Apple, and we were taught how to deliver what we knew about image processing as a course to Apple employees or anyone that wanted to learn how to learn image processing. And usually the Apple book is 580 pages. You look at it, it's like a dictionary. And then they taught us how to deliver technology in a very simple manner. And so what's unique with us in our company, when you look at the graphic user interface that we have in our UI, marketing brochures, movies, websites, we build it in-house. We never outsource anything. And that's a big plus that I have doing this transition from Hollywood to Apple for about 10 years and then to building 1702 AI with Karen. And in the meantime, we started to be involved with IBM and then the VR, CCTV, et cetera, et cetera.